It was a beautiful day in Minneapolis as I sat with Anastasia under the graffiti bridge in Paisley Park. We were watching the purple rain when doves started to cry. I knew this was a sign, but something in the water did not compute. I started having dirty thoughts in my dirty mind. I turned to Anna and said, "I want to be your lover." She just laughed and said, "I need another lover like I need a hole in my head." "Are you delirious?" I asked. She said, "No, I'm free." Then she asked for my name. I told her my name is Prince and I am funky. Unfortunately, she had the computer blues. It was obvious to me that she was looking for the latter. I said, "I feel for you, but I'm still waiting." She said, "Tell me about your pop life." I told her I was just another sucker from an erotic city and I've been around the world in a day. She asked me if there were any Stellas in my life. "It's lonely uptown, but I do know a girl named Nikki. I guess you could say she's a sex fiend," I said. She asked, "Do you lie?" I said, "Just do me, baby. Let's pretend we're married." She cried out, "Damn you! I'm already seeing an international lover." I asked her if it was serious. She thought for a moment and then told me that it was a strange relationship. "I can never take the place of your man, but I adore you, so let's play in the sunshine," I said. She didn't respond. That's when I whistled for a lady cab driver. "Take me with you," she said. So I took her to the Max. We made love to the nines. When it was over, I said, "Baby, I'm a star." She claimed that was arrogance. Then she gave me a kiss, grabbed a raspberry beret, and danced on. So now I got a broken heart again. I called up my sister to discuss my condition. She told me, "Live for love. Without love, you don't live." I got in my little red Corvette and cruised down Alphabet Street to the Glam Slam for the ride divine. When I walked in, Ronnie was talking to Russia, and Dorothy Parker was singing a ballad. It was 7:45 and the rave was already in full swing. I bumped into a girl who looked barely 21. She was a hot thing, looking for big fun. I asked her for her name. "Cynthia Rose," she said. I randomly asked, "If you could have anything you want, what would it be?" Her answer was starfish and coffee, maple syrup and jam, butterscotch clouds, a tangerine, and a side order of ham. Yeah, I was a bit confused. She was quiet. As she began to walk away, I said, "Heaven is near." Then I saw a sexy dancer. She was insatiable. So I walked over to her like I could use a ride. I got her a cocktail and she gave me her name. It was Bambi. I told her mine was Daddy Pop. After that quick introduction, she said, "Let's go crazy." "Aren't you already partied up?" I asked. Suddenly, thieves entered the temple. So we went outside and watched Christopher Tracy's parade. Sometimes life can be so nice. We started strolling along the promenade. We didn't have money, but money didn't matter that night. We ended up in the mountains under a cherry moon. Bambi whispered in my ear, "I'm gonna jack you off." Then she handed me 3 chains of gold, pulled out the Book of Victor, and told me to prepare for the sacrifice. I figured the whole thing must be some kind of sign of the times. I said, "Let's work." 7 minutes later, I saw a blue light and my sweet baby was gone. The next thing I remember is feeling a push. I turned around and to my surprise saw Annie Christian with the morning papers. I told Annie that I couldn't pay her for the news today. She told me that my pockets were full. "Crazy you," I said. Then I reached in my pockets and pulled out handfuls of diamonds and pearls. I couldn't figure out where they came from. I heard a tick-tick-bang, and everywhere I looked there were elephants and flowers. I stripped down and fell to my knees. After regaining my balance, I noticed that Annie had disappeared. Before my eyes stood Maite, the Egyptian princess. She said, "I know a new position, Are you willing and able? Caught up in the moment, I rapidly responded, I want to melt with you, you sexy motherfucker. She got on top to cop and cream flowed. Girls and boys gathered round to watch what happens when two are in love. Now our sexuality caused controversy, but when tambourines shake, we get off. There was thunder all through the night. It only took one peach with a message of love and power to turn this nighttime fool into a horny pony. The electric intercourse was genius, and it will surely stand all time. The following morning, I told Maite I'm in a deep blue funk, but I like it. We started dancing close and slow. I said I would die for you. She said, I wish you heaven. From that moment on, I knew love's sexy. I couldn't stop the feeling I got when we were flesh to flesh. I pledged my allegiance to God for creating woman. I was full of positivity when I left. I closed the door and it started to snow. The snow was heavy that April, but nothing could cool my engine down. 17 days later, I was at home blowing up 200 balloons for a party I had planned to throw at First Avenue. I needed a break, so I turned on the telly, and the president was addressing the nation. I was listening to a man I couldn't even trust if he was sitting in an electric chair. I remember thinking that if I had my choice, I'd rather be the Pope. Thankfully, the doorbell rang. The only problem was that I had no clothes on. I decided I'd be a little scandalous and answer the door anyway. It was Vicky waiting in pink cashmere. She just looked at me as I stood naked with nothing but a smile on. I said hello and invited her in. But Vicky wanted to go out. Let's escape, party man, she said. After I got dressed, we decided to fly to the Louvre Museum in Paris. We stood and stared at the Venus de Milo, admiring her beauty. I looked at Vicky and said, I wonder you. She looked at me and asked, how you want to be done? I blurted out, well, over and over, of course. In a blink, the future was upon us. Vicky and I were in the arms of Orion. That day, I realized that there is joy in repetition. The morning after had a distinct glow. I took a walk to think about things like the cross and living to see the dawn. I reached my hands up to the sky and felt snow touch my skin. Power Fantastic was in my life. I decided to return home to search for my lemon crush. My plane landed at midnight. The first stop I made was the park where this story began. The only one there was a little gypsy girl playing on the merry-go-round. It was very dark, but there was a light shining all around her. I walked up to her to get a better look. With a soft voice, she said, "Love God." Then she kissed me on the cheek and vanished. After that, I knew it was going to be a beautiful night. I got on my motorcycle and rode up and down the streets shouting, "God bless America." Then I headed to the club to party like it was 1999. I saw Wendy and Lisa right away. I knew they'd be there. They were warming up with the rest of the revolution. The place was packed. Carmen Electra was on stage, so I grabbed a camcorder and a seat. She was all that. Her set got everybody up. Sheila E. and Sheena Easton also dropped by to sing a few songs and maybe have a few shots. After Carmen was finished becoming every man's new fantasy, Sheila mesmerized everyone with one of her signature drum solos. Before Sheena stepped to the mic, I said to her, "You got the look." She looked me in the eye and asked, "Then how come you don't call me anymore?" I told her it was a long story. Honestly, Sheila's performance still had most of my focus. I think it even had most of Sheena's since it was hot inside her sugar walls. The all-night party was booming. When Apollonia and Vanity showed up, the crowd went bananas. The screams of passion were almost deafening. Private joy was on public display without a question of you. The Continentals were romancing all the irresistible bitches, all the scarlet pussies were giving head in the restroom stalls, hell, even the bouncers were getting felt up. I did myself a favor and kept my distance. However, Shockadelica was creeping in my vicinity. She's always in my hair. It's automatic. Unfortunately for her, my mind was on another dame, which made her so blue. When the show was over, Vanity came up to me with a pretty mess on her dress. I said, "Don't worry, I'll buy you a clothing store." That made her smile. She had a flight to New York to catch, so she left without a long goodbye. She just told me that she really digs the Big Apple, because all the critics love her there. At that point, the only two remaining were Apollonia and yours truly. I could tell Apollonia was soft and wet. Her stunning beauty amazed me. "I want to drink you till dawn," I said without hesitation. She laughed and replied, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, we'll star in a movie called Amore." Then she started to walk away. "Would you treat me different if I was your girlfriend?" I asked. She said no. Then I asked, "If I was your girlfriend, would you let me dress you?" She said maybe. I wanted her forever in my life. I confessed, "I lust you always." Apollonia hugged me and said, "I love you and me, but it's gonna be another lonely Christmas." "Don't you remember when you were mine?" I asked her. That made her stop. We hopped in a blue limousine and headed back to her castle, which overlooked Lake Minnetonka. We began to make feverish love. Then like a flame she came, and I was no longer cold. The kid had become a man. Apollonia stroked my confidence with her good love. "Nothing compares to you," I said. She giggled. I turned to her and added, "I'd trade my last heartbeat for the tears in your eyes." She pulled out a crystal ball and showed it to me. I saw us peeking in a window outside the dream factory. The machines were propelling seeds of snow into the air. It took me a minute, but I got the meaning. Sometimes it snows in April. Sometimes you have to make your own.